Graceland is not just a house. It is one of the most famous homes in America, shaped by Elvis Presley's life, fame, family, and final years. Millions have visited its gates, walked through the mansion rooms, and stood quietly by the meditation garden. But even after all these years, parts of the property still feel hidden, protected, and frozen in time. In this video, we look at what Graceland was, what it became, what visitors still see today, and the off-limit spaces that keep people curious. From rock and roll royalty to preserved rooms and quiet boundaries, Graceland still tells a living story. Join us as we uncover its past, its legend, and what remains there today. Before Elvis, how Graceland began. Before Graceland became linked to Elvis Presley, it already had a history of its own. Graceland is a mansion on a 13.8-acre estate in Memphis, Tennessee. Long before the world saw it as Elvis's home, the land was connected to the Toeff family. It was originally owned by Stephen C. Toeff, the founder of S.C. Toeff & Company, which was known as the oldest commercial printing firm in Memphis. He had also worked earlier as a press room foreman for the Memphis Daily Appeal newspaper. The property got its name from his daughter, Grace. She inherited it from her father in 1894. After Grace died, the property passed to her niece, Ruth Moore, a Memphis socialite. Ruth and her husband, Thomas Moore, later commissioned the mansion that people now recognize as Graceland. The house was built in 1939 in a colonial revival style, and it measured 10,266 square feet at that time. It was designed by architects Furbringer and Ehrman. There is one detail that makes this early history feel even more connected to what Graceland later became. Ruth Brown Moore and Dr. Thomas Moore's daughter, Ruth Marie, was a harpist for the Memphis Symphony Orchestra, and musical recitals were often held in the front rooms. Those recitals almost feel like a preview of what would come later, because those same spaces would eventually be tied to Elvis and his music world. That is what makes Graceland so interesting. Even before Elvis arrived, the house already had music in it. And that early history helps explain why this place still feels larger than just a house. Elvis moves in and everything changes. His television appearances, more and more fans gathered outside. Journalists also showed up. Even though his neighbors were happy to have a celebrity nearby, the constant crowds became a problem. That is when Elvis wanted something different. In early 1957, he gave his parents, Vernon and Gladys Presley, a budget of $100,000 and asked them to find a property that felt like a farmhouse and had buffer space around it. At that time, Graceland was in southern Shelby County, several miles south of Memphis's main urban area. Later, Memphis expanded and homes grew around it, but at the time it offered more space and privacy. Elvis purchased Graceland on March 19, 1957 for $102,500. According to the official Graceland website, Vernon and Gladys placed a $1,000 down payment on the mansion and lived there for more than a month before Elvis moved in on June 26, 1957, while he was busy filming Jailhouse Rock. Later that same year, Elvis invited Richard Williams and singer Buzz Cason to the house. Cason remembered the early days in a playful way, saying, "We proceeded to clown around on the front porch, striking our best rock and roll poses and snapping pictures with the little camera. We peeked in the not-yet curtained windows and got a kick out of the pastel-colored walls in the front rooms with shades of bright reds and purples that Elvis most certainly had picked out." Elvis also liked to make a bold joke about how far he had come. He was fond of claiming that the U.S. government had mooted a visit to Graceland by Nikita Khrushchev of the Soviet Union to see how, in America, a fellow can start out with nothing and, make good. That mix of humor, fame, and image was already part of Graceland early on. But the house was not only about celebrity moments. It also became the center of family life, and that is where things start to get more personal. Family life at Graceland, love, loss, and tension. Graceland was not just Elvis Presley's famous home. It was also the center of his family life, and that made the house deeply personal. After Gladys Presley died in 1958 at age 46, Elvis's father Vernon later married Dee Stanley in 1960, and they lived at Graceland for a time. But there was tension between Elvis and Dee. Elaine Dundee wrote that Dee rearranged furniture. and replaced curtains that Gladys had approved of. And for Elvis, who still loved his mother deeply, that was too much. Dundee described how Dee's things were later moved out of Graceland, and Vernon and Dee left with her children. Over time, Graceland became a place shaped around Elvis's habits, comfort, and the people closest to him. Mark Crispin Miller described it as the home of the organization that was himself, surrounded by a large circle of family and people around him. He also shared unusual details that showed how customized the home had become, including that Vernon had a swimming pool in his bedroom, a jukebox stood nearby with Elvis's favorite records, and Elvis spent long hours watching the property on closed-circuit television. Elvis's cousin Billy Smith also shared a very personal memory that showed how close and informal life at Graceland could be. He said, "We were all three there, talking for hours about everything in the world. Sometimes he would have a bad dream and come looking for me to talk to, and he would actually fall asleep in our bed with us." Graceland was also where Elvis's married life and fatherhood became part of the story. Elvis and Priscilla married in 1967, and Lisa Marie was born in 1968 and lived her early years on the estate. Even after the divorce, Lisa Marie returned often, especially at Christmas. That is what made Graceland more than a symbol of fame. It was the place where Elvis's private life, family ties, and personal routines all came together. The Graceland Mansion, exterior, and main rooms. Graceland sits on a hill and was designed in the colonial revival style by the Memphis firm Furbringer and Ehrman. It is a two-story mansion with one-story wings, a large front portico, and a formal look that stands out right away. The front and side walls are covered in tan limestone, and the entrance is reached by stone steps and framed by two marble lions. The front also features tall windows, stained glass around the doorway, and a small iron balcony above the main entrance. A horse stable was added on the property in 1939 by the original owners, and Elvis later kept horses there. Inside, Graceland grew to 17,552 square feet with 23 rooms, including 8 bedrooms and bathrooms. The first floor shows both the formal side of the house and Elvis's personal style. To the right of the entrance hall is the living room, with white sofas, a fireplace with a mirrored wall, family photos, and a painting that was Elvis's last Christmas gift from his father Vernon. Behind it is the music room, marked by stained glass peacocks, a black baby grand piano, and a 1950s-style TV. Nearby is the bedroom used by Elvis's parents, decorated in bright white with a dark purple bedspread and a pink bathroom. On the left side of the entrance hall is the dining room with a crystal chandelier, a marble table, and black marble flooring in the center. In the mid-1960s, Elvis expanded the house and created the Jungle Room, one of Graceland's most famous spaces. It featured an indoor waterfall, plants, tiki-style furniture, and items connected to Hawaii after Blue Hawaii. He used it to eat breakfast and entertain friends. The Jungle Room was even described as an example of particularly lurid kitsch. That mix of formal rooms and bold personal choices is what makes Graceland feel so memorable. It shows both the public image and the private taste of Elvis in one place. And that is only the mansion itself, because the grounds outside were also transformed and became part of the Graceland people still recognize today. The Graceland estate and what still stands out. After buying Graceland, Elvis spent more than $500,000 changing the property to fit his life. Those changes shaped the estate people still recognize today. One of the most famous features is the pink Alabama fieldstone wall around the grounds. Over the years, visitors covered it with signatures and messages, and people simply call it the Wall. Another major feature is the wrought iron front gate designed by Abe Sauer. It is shaped like a book of sheet music, with green musical notes and mirrored silhouettes of Elvis playing guitar. Sauer also installed a kidney-shaped swimming pool and a racquetball court, which became part of the estate's identity. The racquetball court had an old country club feel, with dark leather furnishings and a working bar. Graceland is located at 3764 Elvis Presley Boulevard in the Whitehaven neighborhood, about 9 miles south of central Memphis and less than 4 miles north of the Mississippi border. In the basement, some of the strongest details are the ones that still feel frozen in time. In the TV room, Elvis often watched 3 televisions at once, with a wet bar nearby. The room also had a stereo and cabinets for his record collection, and the wall featured his 1970s TCB logo with a lightning bolt and cloud, meaning taking care of business in a flash. Across from it, the billiard room kept that same preserved feeling. Elvis bought the pool table in 1960, and after a 1974 remodel, the walls and ceiling were covered with pleated fabric. The pool balls are still arranged the way they were in his final days, beside a sign that says, "Please do not touch, thank you." There is even a rip in the green felt caused by a friend's failed trick shot. Those are the kinds of details that make Graceland feel so powerful in the present day. Not just because it was famous, but because so much of it still looks like someone just stepped out of the room. And that is exactly why the conversation around what is still there and what feels just out of reach continues to pull people in. Elvis's final music, Last Night, and Death at Graceland. To Graceland, and turned a large room into To Graceland, and turned a large room into a temporary studio. One detail makes this feel especially fitting. The shag carpeting helped absorb sound, so it worked as a natural sound buffer during the session. Another session was held in October that same year, and it would be the last one before Elvis died less than a year later. 4 tracks from those 1976 sessions were later released on the posthumous album Moody Blue. That changes how these rooms feel, because they were not just part of his home life. They were also part of the final chapter of his music. That same feeling carries into the racquetball building and its sunken sitting area, which is closely tied to Elvis's final hours. The space had the same kind of stereo system found throughout Graceland, along with a dark brown upright piano. Elvis played what were said to be his last songs there, Willie Nelson's Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain and Unchained Melody, though reports differ on which one was truly the last. The sitting area also had a floor-to-ceiling shatterproof window so people could watch racquetball games in the court. In the early hours of that final night at Graceland, he played racquetball with his girlfriend Ginger Alden, his first cousin Billy Smith, and Billy's wife Jo. After the game, he ended the night at the piano, then went back into the main house to wash his hair and go to bed. Today, the 2-story racquetball court has been restored to the way it was when Elvis used it. That is what makes this part of Graceland feel so powerful. It preserves not just his style, but the rhythm of his final hours, right before the story turns. On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley died at Graceland at age 42. He was found in the bathroom of his private suite, and the official cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia, though later toxicology reports strongly suggested polypharmacy was the main cause, with 14 drugs found in his system and some, including codeine, in significant quantities. After his death, Elvis lay in repose in a 900-pound copper-lined coffin just inside the foyer, and more than 3,500 mourning fans passed by to pay their respects. A private funeral with 200 mourners was held on August 18, 1977, in the house, with the casket placed in front of the stained glass doorway of the music room. Graceland did not stop being a family place overnight, but from this point on, the house carried a different weight, and that would shape how parts of it were handled in the years that followed. A public Graceland and a private upstairs. After Elvis died, Graceland stayed in family hands for years, and family members continued to live there. Vernon Presley became executor of the estate, and after Vernon died in 1979, he chose Priscilla Presley to serve as estate executor for Elvis and Priscilla's daughter, Lisa Marie, who was only 11. But the estate was under pressure. Graceland cost about $500,000 a year to maintain, and Lisa Marie's inheritance had fallen to around $1 million. Taxes and other expenses also came to over $500,000, and the family was facing the possibility of selling Graceland. Priscilla looked at other famous homes and museums, then hired CEO Jack Soden to turn Graceland into a moneymaker. Graceland opened to the public on June 7, 1982, and the risk paid off fast. After only 1 month, the estate had made back the money it invested. But even after the mansion opened, not all of it became public. The second floor remained off-limits. It was already a private area while Elvis was alive, and after his death, The family kept it closed out of respect and to avoid turning attention toward the bathroom where he was found. The white staircase in the entrance hall leads up to that level beside a wall of mirrors, but visitors are stopped before they can go up. Upstairs is Elvis's bedroom, connected to his dressing room and bathroom, along with Lisa Marie's bedroom and another room used as a private office. The floor is widely described as having remained untouched since the day Elvis died, and it is rarely seen by non-family members. It is often said that even presidents and government officials have not been allowed there. The reason many people give is simple. It was his private sanctuary, and the family chose to preserve that boundary. Many also repeat the quote often linked to Elvis, "Even if I'm dead, nobody will go upstairs." The mystery only grew because one famous exception is often mentioned. Nicolas Cage, during his marriage to Lisa Marie, was reportedly allowed to see the space. So when Graceland became a public attraction, the upstairs became the part that stayed private, and that contrast became one of the estate's most enduring mysteries. Priscilla became chairwoman and president of Elvis Presley Enterprises, saying she would stay in that role until Lisa Marie reached age 21. And over time, the trust reportedly grew to be worth over $100 million. Graceland then stayed occupied by family members until the death of Elvis's Aunt Delta in 1993, after she had moved in at Elvis's invitation years earlier. In 1993, Lisa Marie inherited the estate when she turned 25. After Lisa Marie's death on January 12, 2023, her eldest daughter, Riley Keough, became sole trustee and owner. Graceland was also formally recognized over time. It was listed in the National Register of Historic Places on November 7, 1991, becoming the first site recognized for significance related to rock music. And it was declared a National Historic Landmark on March 27, 2006, also a first for such a site. Former U.S. Secretary of the Interior Gail Norton said, "American culture and music changed irreversibly because of Elvis," and added that it would be hard to tell the story of the 20th century without him. Graceland is one of about 2,600 National Historic Landmarks in the United States and remains one of the most visited homes in America. Once it became public, though, it stopped being only a house museum and became something much bigger. Why Graceland feels personal to fans. For many visitors, Graceland does not feel like a normal tourist stop. It feels personal, emotional, and for some people, almost spiritual. Each year, hundreds of thousands visit, and many plan the trip for years. The tours use headphones that tell key moments from Elvis's life and guide people through the rooms and objects. The tone often celebrates his generosity, kindness, talent, faith, and also the harder parts of his life. At the meditation garden, many visitors pray, kneel, or quietly sing one of Elvis's favorite hymns. That garden is also one of the most important places on the estate because it is where so much of the family is buried. Elvis's grave is there, along with the graves of his parents Gladys and Vernon Presley, his grandmother Minnie Mae, his daughter Lisa Marie Presley, and his grandson Benjamin Keough. A memorial stone for Elvis's stillborn twin brother Jesse Garon is also there. Benjamin Keough was laid to rest there in late 2020, and Lisa Marie Presley, who died in January 2023 from sudden cardiac arrest, is buried next to him. The graves can be visited during mansion tours, and they can also be visited for free before mansion tours begin. Elvis Week adds even more weight to this part of Graceland. The annual procession past Elvis's grave on the anniversary of his death is a major event. Big anniversaries brought huge crowds, including estimates of 40,000 back in 2002 and around 30,000 at the 2015 Candlelight Vigil. For the 40th anniversary in 2017, at least 50,000 fans were expected. The brick wall around the grounds, covered with signatures, messages, prayers, and thanks, shows how many people treat this place as more than a museum. And while fans come for Elvis's memory, they also come for a full Graceland experience that keeps growing and what visitors see and why Graceland lives on. Even with the upstairs kept private, Graceland still offers a wide look into Elvis's life. Visitors can tour the mansion, but the larger Graceland campus adds much more to the experience. It includes Elvis Presley's Memphis, with an automobile museum and a major Elvis museum complex, along with Elvis's custom jets, including the Lisa Marie airplane. Visitors can also use an interactive audio and video guide for a self-guided tour, and the area includes themed diners and bars that help turn a visit into a full Graceland experience. Over the years, Graceland has also drawn a long list of notable visitors. Staff informally kept track of celebrities who came in the years after Elvis's death before the practice was later formalized. Muhammad Ali, a friend of Elvis, visited in 1978, and Paul Simon visited in the early 1980s, later writing Graceland, which became the title track of his Grammy-winning album. U2 toured Graceland during the Joshua Tree Tour in 1987. And footage from the visit appeared in Rattle and Hum, with drummer Larry Mullen Jr. reportedly sitting on Elvis's motorcycle against the rules. Other well-known visitors included President George W. Bush and Japanese Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi in 2006, Prince Albert II and Charlene Wittstock in 2010, Paul McCartney in 2013, and Prince William and Prince Harry in 2014. The home has also been visited by Jimmy Carter, ambassadors, U.S. governors, members of Congress, and Nobel Prize winners, including Bob Dylan and Oscar Arias. In May 2016, Graceland welcomed its 20th millionth visitor. In June 2022, Austin Butler and Tom Hanks visited and were interviewed virtually from the Jungle Room while promoting the Elvis film. Its influence also reaches far beyond the estate itself. Paul Simon named an album and song Graceland. Carla on Cheers visited Graceland every year. Walking in Memphis mentions Graceland and the Jungle Room. This Is Spinal Tap includes a scene at Presley's grave. It also appears in later films and pop culture references, including Lilo and Stitch, where a photo at Graceland's gates later became part of a Disney Archives exhibition shown at Graceland. Even the separate Graceland Wedding Chapel in Las Vegas, famous for Elvis-themed ceremonies, shows how far the Graceland name and image spread. But with that fame came another layer of attention, strong opinions about the house itself, the look of Graceland, and why it divides opinion. Not everyone sees Graceland the same way, and that split is part of why the house keeps people talking. For many fans, the rooms feel personal, bold, and unmistakably Elvis. For some critics, those same rooms became a target. Albert Goldman wrote harshly about the mansion's interior and said that even though it cost a lot to fill Graceland with things Elvis liked, nothing in the house is worth a dime. He described parts of the interior in strongly negative terms and called them bizarre, garish, and phony, adding that King Elvis's obsession with royal red reaches an intensity that makes you gag. Greil Marcus wrote that many people who visited and shared Elvis's class background came back using one word, tacky. He also pointed to how words like garish and tasteless were sometimes used as class judgment, not just design criticism. Carol Ann Marling described Graceland as a technicolor illusion and compared parts of it to movie sets. She wrote that some fans were disappointed by the formal rooms because they felt beautiful but cold and over-arranged, while the Jungle Room's strong style gave non-believers a chance to recoil in horror and feel above Elvis on the class scale. Whether people admired Graceland or attacked it, they still reacted strongly, and that says a lot about the place. It does not feel neutral. It feels like a house with a personality in every room. That is also why Graceland never stayed only a preserved home from the past. It kept growing as a public attraction, and in recent years, it has also faced new legal and business pressures while still hosting major events. Graceland now, public events and legal threats. Graceland still changes while protecting what makes it famous, and recent years show that clearly. In 2019, the owners of Graceland threatened to leave Memphis unless the city provided tax incentives, and the Memphis City Council later voted on a deal to help fund a $100 million expansion. A major threat came in the 2020s with an attempted foreclosure. A claim filed in September 2023 said Lisa Marie Presley owed money to a company called Nosani Investments and Private Lending, LLC, and Graceland was slated for a foreclosure sale in May 2024 based on an alleged loan tied to the property. Riley Keough challenged the claim, saying the documents were fraudulent, and Elvis Presley Enterprises agreed with her. Her lawsuit included an affidavit from notary Kimberly L. Philbrick stating, "I have never met Lisa Marie Presley, nor have I ever notarized a document signed by Lisa Marie Presley, and I do not know why my signature appears on this document." In a May 22 hearing, Shelby County Chancery Court's Joe Day Jenkins declared the lender's claims invalid, and the foreclosure plan was dropped. Later reporting and court action described the alleged lender as fictitious and the documents as fabricated. On August 16, 2024, Lisa Jeanine Findley was arrested and charged in connection with the scheme. Prosecutors said she posed as different people tied to the fake lender, allegedly forged signatures, filed false records, and published a fraudulent foreclosure notice. She pleaded guilty to mail fraud on January 25, 2025, and on September 23, 2025, she was sentenced to 57 months in prison and 3 years probation. At the same time, Graceland continued its public events and fan traditions. The mansion is decorated each year with Elvis's original Christmas decorations, blue lights along the driveway, lawn displays, and holiday tours through early January. Elvis's birthday is also marked with a 4-day celebration, and fans gathered again from January 7th to 11th, 2026, with concerts, evening tours, appearances by people close to Elvis, free and ticketed events, a birthday cake cutting, and free walk-ups to the meditation garden where flowers and letters are often left. Graceland also announced details on January 27, 2026 for the Ultimate Elvis Tribute Artist Weekend, set for March 6th to 8th, 2026, with tribute concerts and late-night events across the campus. Then on February 23, 2026, it was announced that Gladys Knight would perform at Graceland Live on June 19th, with tickets going on sale February 27th. So even now, Graceland lives in 2 ways at once, one part protected and private, and another part active, public, and still adding new chapters around what remains. That balance between memory and mystery is a big part of why people keep coming back. Do you think keeping the upstairs closed is the right way to protect Elvis's legacy? What part of Graceland do you think tells the most powerful story about who Elvis really was? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.